Welcome to the Izzy Chinche Show. You have something to share with the world that could add value, like through a podcast, a book, even just an Instagram video of you talking. I'm so excited you're able to tune in. Join me as I interview athletes, entrepreneurs, and high achievers. I also share much about my life struggles, trials, and successes in hopes to inspire you. I intend for this show to be one of the greatest shows of all time, so your listening and support means the most to me. My goal is to help inspire as many people as possible, so please share with a friend if you enjoy just one thing from today's episode. Together, we can help more people grow. Let's get started. Welcome to the Izzy Chinche Show, my podcast, which I have been wanting to have a podcast pretty much as soon as I figured out that podcasts were a thing, probably when I was like 15 years old. I figured out podcasts were a thing, and I was like, I want to be on podcasts. I wanted to host my own podcast. I've always been thinking about it, but kind of just been delaying that process and finally fully jumping in. Also, as you can tell a little bit, for those of you who know my voice is fading a little bit just because I've been at a conference all weekend. I've been on coaching calls. I've been coaching my team. I have been using my voice a lot. So if it cracks a little bit or sounds like I have been smoking or something, that's why, just so you know. And it looks like it just got a little darker in here. But anyways, thank you so much for listening. I want to tell you a little bit about how I started my podcast, how I started my business, and leaving my corporate job, and just like how I got into doing everything that I'm doing right now. This year has been full of a lot of changes for me, and I am really grateful for all the changes because I'm super happy for everything that I'm doing right now. But in February of 2023, so like 8 months ago, I decided I was going to start my business. I was working at my corporate job, not liking my corporate job, not liking working for someone else, and I decided I wanted to start my own business. So I started to create my Push the Goal soccer brand, and originally this podcast was going to be the Push the Goal podcast, but I realized I want it to be a separate thing. I want it to be the Izzy Chinche Show because I want this podcast to be one of the greatest shows of all time. So if I end up selling Push the Goal at some point, I don't want to lose that name or whatever. It's my name, Izzy Chinche. No one's taking it. So February, I started my coaching business, and I came across this podcast by Ed Milet and Amy Porterfield, and she was talking about, making your side hustle your full-time thing. And then I just really realized that's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to get to the point with my soccer coaching that I was making enough money so that I didn't have to work a corporate job anymore. So I bought her book called 2 Weeks Notice, and I started reading that book, and I decided in June of 2024 I was going to leave my corporate job and support myself with my business, with my podcast, with everything that I'm doing. Well, I actually left my corporate job in June of 2023. So only a couple months later, I actually left it and fully launched Push the Goal, and then actually got proactive in starting my podcast. My first solo show podcast that I recorded was going to be this one that you're listening to now, but obviously it's not, because I recorded my podcast, and then I realized I had a lot I needed to overcome, because I recorded my first episode. And Mitchell, my fiance, pressed play on it. We were doing something on the computer. I was trying to figure it out, and he pressed play on it. And I was in the other room. He was helping me. And I just started hearing myself talk on this podcast. And I actually started crying. I literally started crying because I was that uncomfortable with my voice and putting myself out there. And I really just lost it. And then I realized, well, I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing because I am so uncomfortable. And it was actually interesting to watch my response as I dealt with these insecurities that I had to overcome. I was I didn't even realize I had all the insecurities that I had. And just even being on camera and putting your face out there, if if you've been doing that for a long time, it means nothing to you. If you're someone who wants to do it and haven't, like, you know what I'm talking about, like hearing your voice and being on camera, you're like, oh my gosh. So basically after that, I did like 4 other solo shows of this intro podcast. I did so many just to like get myself comfortable talking, and I didn't do anything with those. It was just like practice. And then I actually ended up doing so many interviews and then other solo shows. And then I never did like my first intro podcast. So that's why I'm coming back. I'm like, this is the intro podcast, but I actually wanted to share that because today I was talking to my older brother, Jack, who he's actually the second podcast on the show. And I was talking to him, and I said something that I thought was awesome. And it's probably been said before, but I haven't heard it before. And I said, when I am being self-conscious, I am being selfish. And what I mean by that is if I think that I have something to share, or you have something to share with the world that could add value, like through a podcast, a book, even just an Instagram video of you talking like, hey, I had this interaction today, it was really good, a Snapchat video, whatever, and you don't post it because I'll make this about me, because I am self-conscious about my hair, the way I look, or my voice, or whatever. If I'm self-conscious, I'm actually being selfish because I'm not thinking about the person who actually needs to hear that message and could actually be helped from that piece of advice. So talking to my brother today, that was like really cool to be able to talk about that. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was an awesome thing I said. And he was like, yeah. I was like, I'm going to quote myself. And he was like, if you're quoting yourself, you know you're doing good. But I just really wanted to share that this was incredibly uncomfortable for me. This is incredibly uncomfortable for me to get on social media. I have been off of social media for 2.5 years. I disappeared from the world for a while because I was making this massive transition in my life. I was making this transition of no longer being a soccer player. And I had moved out to Tennessee to play soccer, and since I can remember, everything that mattered to me in my life, in my personal life, pretty much revolved around soccer. And so my entire identity was soccer. So before, I was never really big on social media, but I got it when I was about like 19 or so, and then I had it for a little while. And my page was largely infested with, not infested, not in a bad way. It had a lot of soccer posts on it, and because that's what I cared about. And I identified as that, and like that was my world, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's why I moved out here, and there's like all these things. So when I just had finally made a decision that I was not happy doing what I was doing, and I no longer wanted to be a goalie and continue that path, before I even like gave my resignation, before I even did that with a team, I deleted all my media, and I didn't even realize I was doing it then. But I did it because I was so uncomfortable with presenting myself to the world. I didn't know who I was outside of soccer. So I was like, who am I? I don't know. So it was easier for me to just delete everything. Delete, Instagram. That was like the main thing that I had. And I had a TikTok account and, some things. I wanted to delete everything. I disappeared. And I was reflecting about that this weekend and really realizing that is such a huge part of my story. The fact that, I did feel like I had no idea who I was outside of the sport that I love, the sport that I'd grown up in. So it was actually really good to take that time to completely get away from media and just be like, man, who is it that I am? And then kind of come back and reintroduce myself as, I'm not just a soccer player. And if you are just a soccer player, it's awesome. But there's a lot of other things that, a lot of other ways that I can bring value to this world other than soccer. Especially coaching soccer, because I absolutely love to coach soccer, and that's a big part of my life. But for anyone out there who has some some sort of hold up. Like, even if it's just like, man, I was dating that person and now I'm not dating that person, I have to take it off of Instagram and that's embarrassing, and I have to change my Facebook status or whatever because I was with them and now I'm single and all those things. And then that feeling of like, now everyone's been seeing this thing and now they're gonna see this other thing. My piece to you is it literally doesn't matter at all. It does not matter at all, because if I had just launched from one thing to the other, and if I had the confidence to do that, it wouldn't have changed anything. So, and no one's really paying attention in the way that you're paying attention. So jumping into the journey of, no, this is what I'm doing now. I am a podcast host. Like, I do run a podcast. I do run a business. I do life coaching. Like, those are the things that I do and I'm passionate about. Jumping into that whole new identity and not getting held back by the old identity that I had and that I felt like was the most valuable identity has been so amazing in my life. I feel like I'm set free. Like, I'm actually doing the best that I can do, and I'm bringing the most to other people. I think I felt that the way that I brought the most value was through playing soccer, and now I realize that's not. I bring more value and serve more people by coaching and inspiring and teaching, and I actually really do think sharing. I think I have a lot to share, and I want to share with as many people as possible so that you guys can learn from my stories and share with other people and not feel disqualified by your setbacks or the way that your life went. And I really do believe, as cliche as it sounds or whatever, like, your mess can become your message. And I say can because, like, my mess, I felt like, with soccer and my identity and everything, is something like I felt so embarrassed about. Like, I didn't want to talk about it. I was like, nope, let's just like not talk about that part. I'm just doing it, and I'm like, no, that's the piece I gotta get into the most. But it's a choice. It's a choice. That's why I say your mess can become your message. I think often, like, it's not our message just because we don't own our mess. And I feel, for me personally, when I own my mess, I actually relate to more people. It's not like I have cracked the code on life and have all this, figured out, but I definitely want to share the messes that I've gone through in my life. And I'm super, super excited to interview my fiance, talk with him, my best friend Maggie. I have other friends I want on the show, my siblings, so we can talk more about our life and my life. And I think I'm finally at a place where I'm so excited to share and not feel like any of those hard things that I went through or any of those crazy things that I went through disqualified me from, I don't know, it just, whatever. But they actually, I think, make me so much more relatable to you, to whoever it is that's listening right now. And that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about connecting with you. I'm passionate about helping you be inspired by listening to someone that I'm interviewing or by something that I say, so that then you can go and inspire other people. So I really, really am very grateful that you're listening, and I'm grateful for your support, and I'm so excited, so excited to finally start the Izzy Chinche show. And so as I go into this journey, leaving reviews and sharing this podcast with anyone would seriously mean so much to me. And I'll try and remind people throughout the shows and throughout the episodes to leave ratings and leave comments on the shows and share it with other people, so that I can build. And if something in the podcast like really resonated with you and you enjoyed, like, please connect with me. I actually really do want to know that, so I can know like what is helping people, what is interesting to people. So I'm on Instagram, just IZICHINCHAY, Izzy Chinche, and I also Facebook. So that's a great way to connect with me. And then if you're someone who like really wants to be on the show and you love talking, like, I want to talk with you too. So please connect with me. I'm in a state of like learning. I'm learning from everyone. I'm learning from people that I'm interviewing. I'm learning, just stepping into my new identity and like the next best version of me. Like, that's who I want to be. And I think that through community, we'll get there faster, and we can help each other. So if that's something that you're interested in, then please connect with me, because I would love that. Thank you so much for listening, and please leave a review and share it with someone, and listen to all the other podcasts and enjoy as much as possible. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm so grateful for your support. I'm already excited for the next show. Turn on notifications and be on the lookout for my next episode. Also, please share the show with anyone you feel like might benefit from listening to. Thank you for all your love and support. I will see you soon.